Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Detour Live. I'm back in freezing Melbourne. It's unbelievable. Joined as always, Johnny Trevorrow, 4-time national road champion, and someone who's still in the warm weather and live from the Tour de France Femmes. That is, of course, Gracie Alvin. Thanks for joining us, Gracie. We've got technical difficulties straight off the bat.
Can't hear you, Grace. Might have to click in again. All right.
Yeah, if you click the link again, it should work. It's a great start for the Detour podcast. But maybe I come in a little bit too red hot, and StreamYard picked up that I was a bit too excited.
Yeah, maybe. But, well, before we won't talk about the race for a second because I want to get all the initial stuff with Gracie because she's there on the ground and we're watching it. You're not even there this time, so we need to speak to her. But you're talking about how cold it is. Well, I went for a ride this morning at 7 o'clock from the city. It was a Amy Gillett Foundation corporate morning breakfast ride. Went out. Ben Carroll, the new Minister for Roads and all of that, who's a bit of a cyclist himself, which is great, and a lovely guy. And he did the ride with us and then talked about what they're going to be doing for cycling safety and working with the Amy Gillett Foundation. With Ben Canate was there as well. So, yeah, good morning. But it was bloody freezing, I can tell you.
Well, having another crack. Can you hear us now, Gracie?
I can hear you now. I went completely dead as soon as it started. Classic technology.
No, good.
A million times.
Now, before we go any further, because you won't hear this from Dan, because he's sort of working at SBS, but just from a punter back here watching it every night, I've been loving your input. It's been great, and your knowledge, because you're just out of the sport, has been fantastic. So right through the men's and now the ladies Tour de France. So congratulations.
Thanks. It's been a pretty awesome experience. Probably one of the most intense months of my life, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I've had so much fun here and learned a lot.
Was it pretty emotional, Gracie, that first day when the race got underway in Paris to see that it had arrived? And I could see a lot of the social media, yourself, Bridie. It seemed quite an emotional moment for you guys.
It really was. For the last 6 months or more, we've been doing interviews about what this means to women's cycling, what we're looking forward to, building that excitement. And, it just felt like we were just building towards something really cool. And then that few days before the race started, the emotion was hitting us, and I think a little bit to do with the fact that we were really tired from being on the men's tour for a few weeks, but I think the gravity was hitting us personally. It was that feeling of, wow, this is a huge turning point for women's cycling, women's sport, but also I think a few personal feelings of like, oh, I wish I could have also been on the start line. A lot of us we all have kind of shared experiences, I guess, in like we all watched the Tour de France, some of us since we were kids. We all, have idolized some of these riders, and they're pretty much all been male riders over the history of the Tour de France. So it was kind of like, wow, this is really happening, and it's a shame that we can't be on the start line, but I'm so grateful that I still got to be here and be part of the excitement and some of the sharing of other people's stories.
It's been wonderful, and I'll tell you the thing that stood out for me. I know that last Sunday was a special day on the Champs-Élysées, and you preceded the men's race. But what's really impressed me was that once you got away from the men's race, the crowds have been coming. It's been absolutely huge. I mean, the crowds has just been just like the guys, and huge crowds. Look at it there. It's fantastic. So it really stands out that the women's cycling has really arrived. I noticed it with the Paris-Roubaix. The women's Paris-Roubaix created, a lot of interest. Nothing about just being another race. It means the women's race itself created huge interest, and now the women's Tour de France is creating a huge interest, and the enthusiasm and passion of all of the riders it's just invigorating. It's really inspiring, actually.
It's so awesome. Simon Gerrans commented to me yesterday. He's been at the start a couple of times. We've swapped jobs a few times this week, which is cool. And he was doing the start line interviews. And I think one of the start towns, I've already forgotten the name of it now. We're just day to day here. But he said that he's not seen a crowd as big as that, except for the men's Tour de France. Like even all of their classics, Vuelta, Giro, they don't get crowds as big as that at start town. So he was blown away by that. And if you're getting words like that from a former rider that has been at the top of his sport, that's actually pretty interesting to hear that. But even on the Category 4 climbs, there's crowds up those smaller climbs. So I just can't wait to see what the crowds are going to be like on that final climb up to the Super Planche de Belfi. I think it's going to be amazing. But they've been awesome here at the starts and finishes all through the stage. That's what the riders were hoping for. That's what we were hoping to see. I think the viewership online and in the broadcast have also been amazing. They've been in the millions, so it's incredible. It's what we were all wanting. This first edition of this version of the Women's Tour de France to have such great fan and viewership numbers.
What also has been awesome is the emotion in the post-race interviews. Like it's been such a big build-up, and clearly this has been the biggest goal for everyone in the peloton, but that must have been good and refreshing to see just how much emotion is coming out in the post-race interviews, Gracie.
For sure. There was a lot of emotion, as I was talking about on that very beginning before stage one even began, and then the post-race interviews have been the same. Some of my favorite moments have been from Marianne Vos. She's known as the GOAT, the greatest of all time in women's cycling, and she was super emotional when she got to win her first stage, pull on the yellow jersey for the first stage, but she's actually still been quite emotional every other day that she's gone back onto the podium to pull back on that leader's jersey, even though she hasn't won another stage yet. I say yet because she might get another one in the bag, but it means so much to her. That was her 241st career win, which is amazing. And for her to be showing emotion after that many wins in her career tells us how much this race means to her, how much this race means to women's cycling. She was a key person in getting La Course started with the petition that was started in 2013 headed by herself, Emma Pooley, Catherine Bertine and Chrissy Wellington. That petition got nearly 100,000 signatures, and that was a key element in getting La Course started. And since then, the big drive has been, from people like Marianne Vos to get an actual tour for the Tour de France Femmes.
Do you think that
it's been amazing?
I was going to say the fact that it has been so popular and everyone within the cycling community knew that it was going to be popular. Do you think it makes all the other events take notice now, particularly with coverage, that people are generally interested in this sport and, everyone else should be lifting their game, and particularly with the coverage of women's cycling?
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because I think the race organisation for the Tour de France, ASO, has been one of the organisations that have probably dragged their feet the most in terms of getting parity with events in cycling. And they managed some of those classics races earlier in the year. We've got, women's Flash Wallon, women's Liège-Bastogne-Liège. The Flanders Classics have actually been really great with the races such as the Tour of Flanders, a handful more that have been better with coverage, but I think that there's still a lot of improvement there across the board, across all different organisations. It's never been as good as it is right now, but it can still be better. We want to see races from start to finish, and for women's cycling, the action is starting from kilometre zero. Much like the men's, that first hour of racing is about getting that breakaway started. But in women's racing, there's no lull. So it's just like attack after attack. Yesterday was the first time we actually saw that early breakaway stay away for the majority of the race. But in most other stages, it's like so much is happening. We want to see it all. We want to have all of the teams be able to be represented with that coverage as well.
Yeah, look, every day's been fantastic. I thought through the vineyards the other day with all the gravel roads, I thought it was just too much gravel. I would have been complaining if it was men or women. I thought it was just too much. But they handled it so well, and the racing has just been great. I mean, you can hardly, even the girl who was off the front, couldn't even see where she was going, let alone anyone in the bunch. But every day the racing's been brilliant. But as you say, yesterday's stage, yeah, that was a ripper. And the break was very strong. They only got them in the last couple of K. And Victoria Berteau, is that how you say it? It's a Berteau. She was great. She was really, really strong.
She was great. It was nice to see her awarded the most combative, and she's part of a French team, the Cofidis team. So for them, they're not necessarily going for stage wins or going for any jerseys. They really just want to get their jersey on TV. That's kind of their biggest goal, and they've said that in some of their interviews. So that was a big win for them. But my ride of the day goes to young rider, 21-year-old Australian rider Anya Lowe for the AG Insurance team.
I was about to say that. Yeah, wasn't she good?
Yeah, she was fantastic. I think she was the one that initiated that break. We didn't get to see that part of the race on the broadcast, but she was super strong, you know, she's probably one of the least experienced in the peloton. I think it was maybe her 14th race day ever in Europe, but she has got a great head on her shoulders. She's got a lot of talent, but she's making the most of this opportunity. And I don't know if you've seen that GIF that's been made, but she was, you know, amping up the crowd on one of those climbs. I think she was really enjoying the experience as well as trying to do her best. And I think that is so cool. I was smiling big time in the booth yesterday.
She was
I thought you were going to give Ride of the Day in terms of social media. It was Longo Borghini for going the wrong way in the sprint. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, well, with our Zwift power-ups, we gave her the Ghost Award because she literally just, you know, left the peloton very quickly. Luckily, no one else also left. It was crazy. I think the skills of Marianne Vos were really the saving grace.
She missed Marianne Vos by 2 centimetres, I reckon.
There was not much in it. And I think Marianne Vos in another life would have been a great F1 driver. She's got pretty impressive reaction skills.
I'll say. Oh.
We've got to mention there has been a lot of crashes, and there was a massive one, obviously on stage 5. Do you think that, you know, obviously John brought up before that the course has been pretty dangerous? We've got a live comment from Jason in the Maldives, and he says, you know, the amount of crashes, the Loose Rocks stage was crazy, far worse than anything the men had raced. Surely cobbles are reasonably predictable, but yesterday's crash, he said, seemed like a lack of focus. Is there a build-up of, obviously, the riders are so desperate for a result, but does the course parcours come into it as well?
Yes, so there's a lot going on in this conversation. First, the courses, in my opinion, are a little bit different to the men's, especially the finishes. And I would like to see slightly safer finishes. So I think that some of the finales you would not see in the men's Tour de France. And I think that a little bit better planning needs to go into some of these stages. Number 2, the men's tour has this many crashes in the first week. If we had another week of the women's racing, we'd probably see less crashes, a little bit more breakaway action, breakaways winning stages. I think everyone would just calm down a little bit. There's just so much hype built into this race. Number 3, that kind of crash looked bad, but actually it's not that uncommon to see crashes like that happen on straight pieces of road where you think that a crash would never happen. I think just it was the longest stage of the tour. It was mid-tour. It just takes one moment of lapse of concentration. We could see in the replay that it was just one rider just touched the wheels and she was quite near the front. So unfortunately, a lot of the bunch went down. I've been in a crash like that before in another race, and it just happens sometimes. It's not very fun, but it was good to see not many, most people walk away from that fine. But yeah, I think the crashes have been a really covered topic in this race so far, and unfortunately, it's been one of the negative things to come out of this week, but actually it's racing. This happens all the time. It's just that it's getting broadcast globally to probably the biggest audience ever, and there's more crashes than normal happening. And just for the reasons I was saying, there's a bit of a spread of skills in the bunch. There's a few teams here that hardly ever or never race World Tour, but there's also plenty of crashes happening from World Tour riders as well, and that's just, you know, because of the stress that they're under, some of the conditions. Everyone's super fresh. Dan, I think you said everyone's prepared so well for this tour. It's been a peak for this year. So there's no riders in here using this race to prepare for another race. They're all here because they want to be here performing their best. They wanted to get on the start line. Some people want to do stage wins, get in the breakaways. So everyone's at their peak as well, and that makes it a whole more push of being in position every day. So it's just like if you have a few centimeters in another race, you only have millimeters in this race, and things just happen.
Exactly. Last one from me, Gracie, is how have you found the washing machine, which is the Tour de France? You know, how have you found being in the media side of things with the men and the women?
Oh, it's I can't even describe it. Personally, I'm probably a little bit more introverted, so it's like for the first couple of weeks I was just getting these big adrenaline dumps because I'd be nervous to be doing the pieces to camera, and then I'd be nervous about the finishes and trying to grab riders to get interviews. I'd be nervous about what questions I was asking them. So I'm a much more calm now after a couple of weeks.
But pro already.
Yeah, not quite. I still get nervous, but I think the biggest challenge for me has been the post-race interviews, because being a rider, I just feel like I don't want to be too pushy, but there's so many other journalists around me that are trying to get these grabs. I'm really having to learn how to, not be pushy in an annoying way, but be assertive in that moment around all the other journalists to get the grabs we want, to ask questions in a certain way that you're not going to put off riders who they don't want to answer your questions tomorrow, but you need to still get some interesting information for the viewers as well. So for the guys, all the Aussies, they know me. They actually were very generous with their answers. Probably the person I was always looking forward to interviewing was Chris Hamilton, and the person I was always least looking forward to was Caleb Ewan, because he just wasn't having a good time, but he was still good. He'd always say yes. He'd always answer the questions pretty honestly. So yeah, kudos to all of the guys. They know that's part of the tour, and I think that's an interesting thing for the women. They've not had this much intensity at the end of stages. A lot of the media managers in the women's teams are actually trying to push us away because they don't want the women to be overwhelmed. But I think a lot of riders know that this is their opportunity to get their voice, their face on TV, to keep, it's not just about the racing, it's about the personalities as well, the rivalries, the tactics. And so it's a huge loss if they don't want to talk to the media. So I think they're all getting used to it as well. But I know the women even better than I know the Aussie guys. So they've been really good as well. But I think that they're all learning as well.
Yeah, nah, you were doing a great job. If you just could be like Dan, you go, "Hey, Poggy," and then I become Pogacar. But my favourite fail of Dan's was when he couldn't get Van Aert, so he gave the kangaroo to the Jumbo Visma director sportive to the car. He got absolute donuts.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got donuts most of the time. But I've got to ask you, how many times has Matt Keenan given you the best advice that he got? And that is just be yourself, Gracie. That's all you got to do, is be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself. I think I'm learning to do that. And I think that's a really interesting learning point for me. Is I was in a pro team, and I was in the same pro team for so long. So it's just learning how to have an opinion now, how to bring my personality, how to bring my excitement and passion for the sport across. So I'm definitely learning how to project my voice, project my energy a little bit better. And Matt's, gold standard in that. So he's been helping me a lot. Bridie does an awesome job. So she's been really good to learn from as well. And I think Gara is great too. So I've learned so much from all three of them. And we've got a great team around us, from the producers and the camera guys, giving us a lot of tips along the way, but they haven't overwhelmed me. They just usually give me one or two things a day to think about. So I'm learning heaps.
Well, there's a great photo there of yourself, Bridie, and of course Catherine Whelan, who does a fantastic job sticking it all together with the SBS team. And as Iffy said, you've done an amazing job, and it's not easy, particularly in the men's Tour de France at those finish lines, and with all the COVID restrictions and all that on top. You've done a stellar job, so you should be really proud.
I'm very good at the smiling eyes and the nodding because of all of the masks. So
and then you can't recognise the riders. That's a common faux pas, Iffy. You often mix up.
No, that's not a common one. You did it. You did that very well. I got to admit, there's one guy you're talking to. He had a mask on and glasses on, and I couldn't even see who it was myself.
Oh, Michael Storer.
But you got the Russian mixed up with the German, and you got that completely wrong.
Yeah. So if you ever need to feel like you need a confidence lift, just have a look at some of the grabs from the early days of the tour. There's plenty of stuff ups, Gracie, so it's all good. Who's your tip for today's stage before we let you go, Gracie?
Oh, good question. It's bit of a better day for the breakaway. I think we see that first climb early on as a nice launching pad to get an early break up the road. But because there's only 8 stages in the Women's Tour de France, there's not many opportunities for stage wins. So I can't imagine the bunch wanting to let the breakaway take a day like they do in the men's 3-week tour, where there's a bit more chance there for the breakaway to have their moment. So I don't know. It's hard to go past Marianne Vos. I think she wants a second stage win. I've been tipping Grace Brown most days. She's just one of those all-round complete riders, and I think this is her last chance to go for a stage win before we head into the mountains over the weekend.
All right. Well, keep doing a stellar job, Gracie. Really appreciate you taking the time out live from Tour de France Femmes. You're a superstar. So all the best for the remaining stages. It's going to be epic.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Iffy. It's really nice to be here with you guys. And, I'm just running on fumes now, but I'm still having a great time.
Only a couple of days to go. So we probably won't get a chance to talk to you again. I know it was – with a big day today, but the weekend's what it's all about. It's hard. I've been looking through who I think can win this bike race, because I don't think Marianne Vos will be in yellow after becomes end of Saturday, but definitely won't be at the top of on Sunday. But Annemiek van Vleuten, she was the favourite beforehand. She had that bad couple of days. Evidently it was a stomach bug. But sometimes it takes a bit to get. I don't know whether she can get over that so quickly.
No, unfortunately, just some bad luck for race favourite Annemiek van Vleuten. I think she had a bit of a Dumoulin moment in one of the stages, but we won't talk too much about that. I think she's been...
a Dumoulin dump.
She's been recovering pretty quickly, and she's an exceptional athlete, and I've been a teammate with her for a long time. She knows exactly what she needs to do in terms of fueling and recovery to get herself back. So I think she's been looking better and better every day. She's still a huge threat over the weekend. And if she was fresh, most riders needed at least 2 or 3 minutes head start on her into those big climbs. Some of them have almost that, but I still think that she's going to be super hard to beat. But there's some really impressive climbers. The SD Works have 2. They've got Ashley Moore-Monpasio and Demi Vollering. So I think that they're going to make Annemiek's life pretty hard. But I'm interested to also see who else has come into form for this particular race. So I think that, it's not all sewn up yet.
No, for sure. Yep. I see. And also, just while we're talking about that, I saw Ruby Rose McGannon crashed in. Got only 3 or 4K to go on that big, that tight corner, 180-degree corner. She went down. She was in a really good spot too, so it was a bit of bad luck for her yesterday.
Yeah, she was in a good spot. I think she could have been in a better spot, and that's what you learn. I think she's doing such a great job this season in her first pro season. She's got so much talent. She's actually got a really good race brain as well. I think you're just learning, what the difference is between 7th wheel and 12th wheel going into those finales, and I think she learned that lesson yesterday. It wasn't her fault in that crash, but as we were saying before, it was quite a technical finish, and you probably wouldn't see a corner like that in the last few K of the men's race. So it's a lot going on there that she was having to deal with.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks again, Gracie, for your time. It's going to be an epic weekend, so all the best with the coverage.
Thanks. It's going to be a good one today.
No worries, Gracie. Take it easy.
Thanks, Dale.
All right.
Yep,
Cheers.
Great.
Cheers. Gracie Alvin live from Tour de France Femmes. We're going to take a quick drinks break. When we come back, we're going to update some results in the men's as well. And we've got some live comments with some updates on the cycling for the Com Games Iffy. Record has fallen, so stay tuned.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange, bikeexchange.com.au. It's a one-stop shop to go to for all your bike needs, road bike, mountain bike, and they have a big sale on e-bikes. There's no excuses, Iffy. There's one-stop shop.
Yep, no matter what you're after, just jump online, bikeexchange.com.au, and you'll find the best deal near you.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of post-race interviews from the Tour de France Femmes. Here's Marianne Vos after the finish.
Marianne, this sprint was a bit confused. Can you explain what happened in the last 500 meters?
Well, I think the sprint was like for 20k. So already from the last sprint for the bonus points on the top of the last little climb, the speed was really high and teams were lining up. So from then it was all like lead-out trains trying to fight with each other for position. And then there was this hairpin with 1.77k to go. And I think nearly every train wanted to go there as first, so that was pretty chaotic. But yeah, with the first few we came through quite well, and then and there was a deviation with like 400 or 500 meters to go, and the deviation went left, but we had to go like sort of straight. So there was a little bit confusion, but I hope and I think everything went well. But then Lorena opened up her sprint and. She was just gone. She was just rocket power, and then with Balsamo behind it, we battled for second and third.
Even if you don't win, you get another podium. You get time bonus. It's a good day for you, the yellow jersey.
Yeah, it was a good day. I mean, we wanted to do well. We wanted to control and to stay out of trouble in the final, to do a good lead out and. It was a very hard job because I think everybody was with that same tactic, and the last 20k went really fast. Also, the two leaders still kept it really long, so that was pretty impressive.
One word about the green jersey. The race with Lorena is still on.
It's of course really nice to still be in yellow and to be another day in yellow. But now, having the green, that's now be having the lead. That at one point it gets an objective as well.
Thank you very much, Marianne.
Thank you.
There's a word from the GOAT, Marianne Vos.
It is a good race for the green jersey coming on. I mean, it's only about 26 points now because the stage winner, Lorena Wiebes, is in the green, but of course she's only borrowing it at the moment. But I don't know whether it's all going to be on today's stage. It might be just a fraction too hard. They'll be trying to get rid of Lorena because it comes to the finish, she's just too quick. But that climb just near the end, I reckon they might get rid of it there. It's going to be a good finish. I wouldn't be surprised to see Marianne Vos win again. But also, I reckon after her stuff up with the last kilometre, Longo Borghini, she's got great form. I'll give her a good chance as well.
How's Tiffany Cromwell been going? I saw Valtteri Bottas popped his head in and tweeted about it and saying how he's been a few of the stages and how he's really enjoyed it and everyone should get behind it.
Yeah. She's been going good. She's like the team captain, so she's been quite strong in closing down breaks and making moves. I didn't really notice today. I didn't hear her name pop up, but I'm not sure if she got involved in that crash or not.
Now, we've got a few live comments that we can get through. Simon Nalsy, great to see you back safely, Dan. Can you let us know how JT got the nickname Iffy, please? Well, I think we've covered it.
If only. Yeah.
Always made excuses.
When we were young amateurs for the training camp before we went away to Munich Olympics, and No one ever beat me because they were better than me. It was only if I hadn't punctured or if I hadn't. I said, bloody iffy. So it stuck.
Okay. Jan Boardman, at the start this morning, contrasting men's versus women's setup. Paddock de-equipped, not a barrier in sight, no mask, but there is a good fan park.
Oh, there you go. A bit of a challenge. Yeah.
Ian Thomas, yes, definitely loving the Tour de France Femmes coverage. Thanks, Gracie and the team. Carolyn Harbeck, it's great watching the women's race, the Tour de Femmes. Jan Borman again says, and the difference in team equipment from giant buses to small converted trucks, but the crowd's awesome. She's loving it. Martin Grosvenor says, Commonwealth Games record in the women's teams result. Pursuit, yep. Australia, Annette Mueller says Australian women just qualified fastest in 4,000 pursuit at Com Games.
Sensational.
Yeah. Carolyn Harbeck wants to know, John, do you think the Tour de France Femmes will become a 3-week race?
No, I don't think it'll ever become a 3-week race, but it will get bigger. I don't think it needs to be a 3-week race for the women. They're actually the other way. They're talking about bringing the men's back. It's some people are kicking that around, but I think it'll become probably it could go up to even 2 weeks. There's no doubt the success of this Tour de France Femme will make them realise that it needs a bit more. It can't be just not that it's an afterthought because the stages have been quite brilliant, actually. I agree with Gracie that it's been a couple of them been a little bit, on the not dangerous side, but I think it'll be extended. I think they'll whack a time trial in, and I reckon they'll go 2 weeks.
Now, another comment is in relation to Simon Yates had a victory overnight. Iffy?
Yes, it was only a two-stager, the Vuelta Castilla y Leon, and he beat your mate Georgie Bennett by, I think, about 35 seconds or something to take the final stage, and that was the placings overall with Jonathan Lastia coming third. And over in Belgium, Tour de Wallonie, Rob Stannard, who finished second in the final stage, won it overall. So fantastic with Rob Stannard, who rides now for Alpecin. So, classy. So a couple of good efforts.
Annette Miller, she says, by my calculations, Bike Exchange Jaco has already earned 354 points this week, which should move them ahead of Movistar in the relegation battle. Simon Yates on fire with 20k off the front attacks. That's correct. I've got the updated list, the relegation zone battle, thanks to Lanton Rouge, and they've plopped ahead of Movistar now. So, and they're chasing EF, and Cofidis aren't that far in front as well. But
on the weekend we've got San Sebastian as well, so that'll be a really good one. And I know that Yates is really
he's in great form. He'd have to be
great
one
form
of the
for
favourites.
One of the favourites, but you've got Evenepoel and a few of the other guys having a go as well.
They're on the form slump.
No, he's back in form. Evenepoel, not Van der Poel, Evenepoel.
Oh yeah, I was thinking the other one. Remco.
Remco.
Forgot about him.
Yeah.
And massive scenes in Copenhagen, Iffy. I think
that is mind-boggling. Seriously, that is the biggest crowd. Even the Pope doesn't get anything like that when he comes out in Rome. That is huge. I don't think I've seen anything like that anywhere in the world. It's bigger than the Beatles in Melbourne.
Yep, huge, absolutely huge.
And he's so quiet. They got him. He had to speak. He said about 4 words. "I'll thank you" and all that. He's such a quiet sort of guy. Hey, he's got his kangaroo.
Yes, that's all we did it for. I'll have to get that one blown up. Can you sign it?
Yeah, good stuff.
But no, it's sensational, and I mean the flow-on effects. The Tour of Denmark, or it was the Tour de France, changed to the Tour de Denmark. It's going to be huge. Going to be absolutely huge. So exciting. All right. Well, what time we go on live tomorrow, Iffy, to recap stage 6 and preview the final 2 stages of Tour de France Femmes?
I reckon 5 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time.
All right. So I'll update this. Tour de France Femmes. Yep. 5 o'clock. No worries.
5 o'clock. Well done. All right.
There you go. So I brought me little banner up there in case you got the volume down. All right. Who's your tip for the stage, Johnny?
I'll go with Marianne Vos.
All right, I'll take Elisa Longo Borghini. I don't think she's going to make a wrong turn on this one. All right, stay tuned, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the support. Tell all your mates, youtube.com/Detour Podcast. Hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. So then as soon as we go live, and John's about to take a phone call, so we've got to go, folks. See you again tomorrow.
Sport 927.
All right, take it
See
easy.
you, mate.